Hello, Lamer Gamers. This is Simply Travis and
Rowdy 5000.
And we found a warp whistle that led us to level 3 in the Lamer Gamers podcast today. Today we're going to be talking about, as always, the games we've played recently, the Nindie Showcase, Steam taking on the world, Google Stadia and its and gaming addiction for our, I guess, serious topic at the end. So, I have had a family visit recently, so my gaming is pretty non-existent except for like one game. So, Rowdy, what games have you played recently?
Man, over the past 2 weeks, I tried to put in as much as I could. I think around the time of the last podcast, I was playing, Far Cry New Dawn, which I don't know if you know much about it. It's the
I know
first.
it's pretty.
Well, it's the first direct sequel in the Far Cry series. So there's Far Cry 5, and then this one. It feels kind of like DLC, but it was bigger than DLC, but it's not quite a full game.
So wait, is New Dawn the one that's based off the one with all the wildlife that runs around?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's
a DLC for it though.
Pretty much. Well, no, it's a separate game. It falls in this weird category of like a half-price game due to the fact that it's not a full-on game.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of like what Nintendo did with Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and the Torna expansion.
Okay.
To where it's technically it's a separate game, but it was at a discounted price because it wasn't a full game.
Gotcha. What's funny is I just typed Torna because I remembered I played Torna recently and beat it.
You son of a bitch.
So that wasn't really a cue, but it worked, I guess.
But no. So that was really fun. If you liked Far Cry 5, you're gonna like Far Cry New Dawn. It's a lot of the same weapons, just now with kind of a post-apocalyptic kind of feel to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not real gray and green and brown like Fallout is. It's a really good one. I mean, basically, if you're a Far Cry fan, you're gonna dig it. I also played Jump Force like right after that.
That's that super anime game, right?
Oh yeah, it has to do with a lot of the show and jump animes. So your Dragon Ball Z, your Naruto, your One Piece, things like that. I had a lot of fun at first, but it's one of those games where the tutorial wears you down. I made it 1 hour into the game and had only gone through 2 fights that lasted maybe a total of a minute each. Yeah, like that was pretty rough. And then
it's kind of like Budokai was almost. They had like a ridiculous tutorial.
Oh, it was long as hell.
Yeah, it is. Ugh.
And so this game is more of like once you get everything unlocked, it'd be fun to play online.
Mm-hmm.
But I found out not really much my style. After that, it just wore me down. And then what else have I played? I did, was it Devil May Cry 5? Absolutely awesome. If you liked the Devil May Cry series, you're gonna like Devil May Cry 5. It's a lot of the old hack and slash, gunfight type of thing. They kind of didn't talk about the remake or reboot or whatever the hell it was that Ninja Theory did a couple years ago.
It's dead.
That's kind of been just kicked to the side. Wasn't even mentioned. So all they talk about is the timeline that happens between Devil May Cry 1 through 4, which, by the way, is confusing as hell.
I have yet to play a DMC game, but I have played Bayonetta.
Oh, it's the same people.
Yeah, it's the same people. It's the same game, except one is a lady. Witch. With hair.
Well,
monster hair.
What's funny about Devil May Cry 5, I don't know if it's up your alley, but you play as 3 different characters, and each character has their own battle style, or their own fight style.
I'd probably be into that, actually.
Like, you play as Nero, and Nero has a gun, he has his sword, which has a motorcycle engine in it, and you can rev up to make it more powerful.
The question
which is kind of cool.
does he play the fiddle?
No.
Okay. There's no Rome reference here. Okay, good.
No, everything's based off of what is it? Dante's The Divine, or what is it? The Divine Comedy? Not Dante's The Divine Comedy.
So I'm gonna be really like segue out in the middle of nowhere,
nerd,
and it's gonna show our age. So remember way back in the day when you used to burn like CDs? There was a program called Nero,
and it was awful.
But I never got the joke that it was burning ROMs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you nerd.
It took me years, and I should have gotten that. Okay.
So Nero's the first character you play as. But like I said, he's got his gun, he's got his sword, and he's got this robotic arm that works as kind of like a grappling hook where you can pull enemies towards you, or if the enemy's big, you pull yourself towards the enemy. But then the arm it's fragile, so it could break real easy, but you get what's called a magazine, and it's all these different arms that you can use. I got the deluxe edition, so I could get Mega Man's Mega Buster, seeing as it's the Capcom game.
Of course.
And what's funny is when you have the Mega Buster arm on, you jump like Mega Man. I didn't notice it till about near the end of the game. I should have noticed it way sooner than that. The second character you play as is a character named V, which I think you would like their battle style, because the character is actually very frail and doesn't physically fight. He controls 3 demons. He has one demon is like this hawk, and that's your melee. I mean, I'm not your melee. That's your ranged attacks. So then you have another demon that is like it's a big cat, and that's how you do your melee attacks. And then once you've raised what's called your devil trigger, that's your magic, you could call in a third big demon called Nightmare, and it kind of acts on its own. So you control like 3 different demons, and you have to bring the enemy's health down. And once the enemy's health is all the way down, then you move in with your character, use your cane, and stab them in the head. And that's how they die. You dig that one. And then, of course, you have Dante, and he's Dante. His guns. You can change out his guns from his pistols, ebony and ivory, to his shotgun, to a rocket launcher. You could dual wield rocket launchers.
Well, yeah, that's how you're supposed to shoot rocket launchers, right?
And then his weapons are he gets Rebellion, his main sword, and throughout the series, you can get I forget what they're called, but they're his demon like gauntlets and boots that he can kind of do hand-to-hand combat with. He's got like a nunchuck that has 3 bits to it instead of 2, that you could also turn into a staff, and it can turn to different elements. You can use fire, ice, and electricity with it. But my favorite weapon in the game is his motorcycle. You could use a motorcycle as a weapon. You could get on it and you could ride into an enemy, and then you could split the thing in half and use it as 2 different weapons with the wheels. Like, you can start turning the wheels to like hurt people.
You know what fight I want to see now?
What's that?
Dante versus Wario.
Oh God.
He fights with a motorcycle too.
Dante would win.
I don't think so.
And then some games that I just kind of touched on a little bit. I'm not a huge fan of online multiplayer games, but I thought I would try Conan Exiles. I'm probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours into it. I'm still kind of learning the basics of it.
So is everybody online Conan?
No.
Okay.
Nobody's Conan.
Oh. Is Conan a place in this?
Conan saves you at the beginning of the game.
Lame. I just imagine a bunch of people running around in loincloths going, I am Conan. And you just got a big sword, and it's like Highlander, sort of.
Well, this is a lot like Ark. Like you have to get supplies. You can build your own shelters and things like that. You have to cook.
So it's like every other game right now that's a survival game.
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
But to me, it's more satisfying.
Okay.
I don't know
it's
if that
just
makes
got
a
a furry
difference.
loincloth. Got it.
Well, actually, I'm wearing
Actually.
fiber clothes. Thank you very much.
Ooh, fancy.
Mine are made out of plants.
Mr. I wear pants.
And then there's actually a game I started today, Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. I have never played a Dark Souls game. I've never played Bloodborne. I've never played any of those games and thought it was a good idea to start this one. It's rough, man.
Wait, so okay, so we were talking about this earlier, and you had said you played these games, but did you ever finish?
Oh, no, I've never played any of them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because to me, I know how you game. There would be holes in the wall from controllers.
and that's why it's weird that I picked this game up, because I've never played Dark Souls and I've never played Bloodborne, for the sheer fact that you just die over and over and over again. But from what I've seen of Sekiro so far, like, I absolutely love the art style of the game. Like, it looked like so much fun, and all of the reviews coming in right now. I mean, it's got a Metacritic score of like 89 as of the time of this recording. Like, that's high for Metacritic.
Yeah.
So I picked it up. I'm about 2-3 hours in, and I've only wanted to throw my controller once.
Oh, that's not bad. We really need to start rating games on how many times you want to throw a controller. Kind of like how we build things occasionally, and we do the amount of times we cussed.
We totally should have recorded when we put the new shells on our Joy-Cons.
Oh man, I do have a build I'll talk about later.
But yes. I think it's about everything I've done within the past 2 weeks. What about you?
Well, I have had family visit, my wife's family, and haven't played a whole lot of games. I've kind of snuck things late at night, like a kid with their Game Boy underneath their covers, because I got the Switch, I can do that, I guess. But so I've been playing actually old stuff. I got Final Fantasy IX because I was one of the hardcore Nintendo nerds that never owned a PlayStation, because cartridges for life. It's okay, they're still winning. But I decided I wanted to play this. I need to catch up on Final Fantasies. I haven't played one since forever ago. And it's decent. It looks like a hot pile of garbage. It's very blurry. And it looks a lot better on the mobile screen. But I have this giant 65-inch, curved 4K TV. And it's... whatever filter they used on this is just atrocious. And they upgraded the characters to have higher polygon counts. And it looks so out of place whenever they're running on these flat sprites that are animated. Because, what they did back in the day was they would take and they would do pre-rendered stuff.
Yeah.
And they would do a couple frames oh, look, there's gears. And you see 3 frames of the gears spinning forever in motion.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like, honestly. It's got that old school look to it. I'm like, oh, that's interesting how they get it to repeat on itself. I like that. Feel old. But, anyway, so it's interesting. It's got one of those battle systems. It's not quite turn-based. It's like you wait for the little thing to go down and then you can attack. So you have timers almost on it. I think they call it a action battle system. It was the last game I believe they really did that with so many characters. It's been fun so far. The story is honestly more intriguing than Tales of Vesperia, which is another old school game I've been playing that was originally on Xbox. OG Xbox, I think. And Tales of Vesperia is just boring. There's no life to the towns. And the characters are super anime. Kawaii. Or whatever you want to call it. Either way, there's this kid on there that is on your team, and he's always super hyper. And as someone who teaches, I don't want that in my life when I'm home.
Oh God.
So Like, we're gonna go out, we're gonna find all the things. It's gonna be awesome. And oh my gosh, it's terrible. So it's kind of nice because there's no voice acting in Final Fantasy IX.
Was Final Fantasy IX, was it on the
You're a cat dude.
PS1? Or...
Yeah, it was PlayStation 1.
Okay.
I
couldn't remember if it was 1 or 2.
Some slight, you're like, on the scale of human to furry, you're probably about a 3.5 out of 10. So you got to tell. I think you're supposed to be a ape human-y thing. The character designs are ugly as sin occasionally. But there's some charm to it. It's fun. It's a story so far about you are going to kidnap a princess, and as you're going to kidnap her during this play, because you're this acting troupe, she wants to be captured, and she's like, hey, yo, dude, steal me. It's cool.
Did you name your character Ganon or Bowser?
Should have. I just named him me. But so it's been fun. It's kind of a fun little adventure. It's not super serious. Whereas like one thing that drives me crazy about RPGs sometimes is whenever they have a system or some sort of special magic like niche in the game, or I guess, or gimmick. Gimmick's a better word. And they won't shut up about it. Like they did that a little bit with Golden Sun, but they really do it bad with Tales of Vesperia. We're like, oh, the Blastia cores! We gotta get the Blastia cores! Hey, this Blastia core runs this fountain! Oh, there's a Blastia core that... I hate it. It's terrible, and that's, I think, what's really killing me about Tales of Vesperia versus Final Fantasy IX, because there's no, like, special, gimmick. There's apparently, I'm finding out, like, there's this black mage, and he's found some clones of himself. The queen is evil. There's some interesting stuff happening in the game. But the thing that's really drawing me is the town is alive in this game. Even though it's a flat, ugly, blurry sprite, the people are interesting. There's always things running around the town. There's always something fun going on. So the little bit of time I've spent with it has been really good. I can tell it's a good classic. Now, the other game that I've played... So... I like Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I got Torna whenever it came out.
But you never played it.
No, I played it. And then I just stopped. I don't know why. Because Torna, some of the story aspects I enjoyed better than Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Because Xenoblade Chronicles 2 did sometimes get a little too Saturday morning cartoon for me.
Okay.
And it's, it's the Pokemon Waifu Collector Edition of Xenoblade. But I started playing it, and about an hour later, I beat the game.
What?
So apparently, I had played up until an hour before the game, stopped for like 4 months. I straight up just like walked up and like, bam, bam, I'm done.
Look, Labor Gamers, I need you to understand that it took this man 15 years to beat Skyward Sword. All I wanted to do was talk about demise. And I couldn't for 15 years.
Was it really 15 years?
No, it was like 2.
Yeah,
it really took you like a year and a half to beat that.
I was finishing college, though, and I was not having fun. Like, honestly, that game was a... It
was a slog.
It was a punch bowl with a turd in it. I mean, it's just... There's this delicious punch that you think of as Zelda, and then they just put the game like it's Zelda on rails with blurry graphics. And I think, the gameplay was repetitive. I didn't like the corridor feeling of Zelda. To me, Zelda is a much more free game whenever they've turned into 3D since Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
The art style didn't work for the Wii. They needed that game to be in HD. They were trying to emulate a gouache, or kind of like a watercolor.
Your mom's a gouache.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, sure. I'll believe you, Rowdy. But they tried to emulate this style that was like really needed some more resolution to get across, and it just looked blurry and gross, kind of like Final Fantasy IX. So that was the thing that bothered me with it. But other than that, though, man, I have not played much. This week I'm looking to get more into Final Fantasy IX, hopefully, but otherwise, we had some news recently. I guess we can go ahead and move on to the next topic, which is the Nindie Direct.
I love watching this Nindie Direct, but for I guess last year was the first year they did it, and I got super excited this year to see what they were going to announce. But like last year, it was about 50-50 hit or miss for me. Like Overland, I don't even remember what that one was.
Okay, so Overland was the one that the best way I could describe it is it was an isometric strategy game that feels a little bit like Oregon Trail. So you are trying to travel somewhere and survive, and you got a dog with you, and it just looks like you stop every now and then, and it's almost Oregon Trail-ish. You never know what's going to be at each stop. It looked interesting to me. Once again, have to use the wife factor. There's a dog in it, but the dog can die, and it's like you have to choose if you can keep your dog alive or save a stranger. And my wife's always like, "No, the dog lives."
Yeah,
and,
no, of course.
Yeah, I'm getting really loud, but but by the way, before I get anywhere further, I just want to say the people that ran this thing were awfully boring.
I mean,
And
the way I looked at it is, it was a script that they were on.
It was, and I know they're not presenters.
Yeah, they're not presenters, you know, and Nintendo's not writing, you know, Oscar-worthy movies.
Yeah.
But they just seem kind of like wet blankets.
It's like, oh, hey, I didn't see you there. You know, it's just like that was almost every starting point to me.
What was the Neocab? Dude, this game, the best way I could describe it, Uber meets 1984.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
You basically work as an Uber driver trying to find your friend, but you live in the city of Los Ojos.
The eyes.
Exactly.
For
So
those
basically
of
it's
y'all that
watching
don't speak
you.
Spanish.
I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, it's pretty cheesy looking, and no one's happy. And it's just trying, I think, a little too hard. I mean, honestly, why do I want to play a game where I'm just a sad hipster the whole time that is driving people around in a car? It does not appeal to me whatsoever. Now, the next game, though, looks a little more interesting. I think that's the one you're a little more excited for than I am.
Katana Zero, man. I know that they're beating everybody over the head with these, you know, retro-looking arcade-style games. But this one, it looks interesting to me. Like, you have one hit. Like, that's it. Like, you get hit, you're dead.
And that ticks me off in video games, personally.
But when you die, like, it rewinds real quick. So you can see it rewind. So you can see if there's anything you could change on the next way through. And then, like, you could do kind of like a bullet time kind of thing where it slows down. You could reflect bullets. You can slow down so you can slice through your enemies and stuff. Looks kind of cool, but I'm honestly going to say if it's more than $10, I mean, I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, the aesthetics of it look nice. It has a nice, like, pixel design to it. They're soft, or there's some sort of weird filter on it. But, and it's definitely using, like, this. Imagine, like, what somebody would wear on a windbreaker in the 80s and neon.
Yeah.
That's a pretty much the color palette right there.
That's exactly it.
And it's Devolver, so it's going to be interesting.
Oh, yeah.
One way or the other. I'm not that excited because I don't like dying in one hit. I left games that were from the NES back in the 80s and early 90s, and it's just never been a good thing for me.
Because you're old.
I'm an old man, Rowdy. I don't like dying in one hit. I want a hit. And the next game we are going to look at is pretty not good looking.
Pretty awful looking.
Creature in the Well.
Man, look, when they started talking about, oh, this next game, would you believe, blah, 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 and then they said something about a hack and slash pinball action game, I immediately lost interest before I even saw what was happening.
And, you know, honestly, the graphics, the design of it looks cool. However, it's the play style looks like they were just coming up with game ideas one day, and they wrote down a whole bunch of them on a piece of paper and drew them out of a hat, and that was the game style, and that's
Well,
about it.
It looks like Pinball Moonlighter.
Yeah, the art style looks a lot like Moonlighter now that you
mean,
say it.
But I loved Moonlighter, and this just looks like it's just trying to leech off of it.
And honestly, this looks more like the Moonlighter's concept art to me, more so than the actual in-game art.
Yeah, I can
Because
see
the
that.
in-game art was real pixelated. I honestly wish they would have kept Moonlighter looking like it's concept art and cover art, personally.
Did you beat Moonlighter?
I'm really far into it.
Okay, after this, we'll have to talk about it.
All
All right.
right.
So.
Okay, so the next thing on our list is Bloodroots. It pretty much looks like an angry mountain dude, hell bent on finding his attacker and exacting revenge. You just kill everything, right?
I think it looks pretty cool.
It looks cool.
If it goes on sale, I may buy it.
Yeah. One hit kills you though, but the art style is fun. You look like this angry, mountain dude with wolf skin on his head. It's just fun looking.
Grizzly Adams.
Grizzly Adams. After that is a game called Pine.
This game looks interesting, man. Like, the art style's crazy. Like, I don't know who's the good guys, who's the bad guys. I don't know what you play as. Again, looks like a game. If it was on sale, I may buy it.
It looks like it's got a lot of decent ideas. The only problem is it looks like it's using a lot of ideas from Zelda Breath of the Wild, and that just happens to exist. So
it just so happens.
it's like, oh, look at all the biomes you can go into. And I'm probably being a little too harsh on this game because it does look decent. For an indie company to do this, it looks better than your average indie game trying to do an open world. And you're right, I don't really understand the story. It looks like you're a human and you're trying to get all the animals to be chill with each other, and that's about it.
You run around with a Valium sword.
That's the solution here. So
chill, and then you just hit them with it.
That's awesome. So what's next on the list? The next one looks like something you'd play.
Super Crate Box. Yeah. I mean, I'd probably play it. Again, it's the old school art style. I mean, it looks. I don't know who made it, but it looks kind of like the people who made, was it Super Meat Boy?
It does. It looks a lot like Meat Boy.
It looks fun. It looks like a little bullet hell type version of Super Meat Boy. Mm-hmm. I may pick it up if it's not too much. Again, I love sales. I guess that could be an addiction there. So if the games go on sale, I can
spend some money on them.
I'm more likely to buy it.
They're
like 1% off was $10 now $9.99. I'm gonna pick it up.
Okay, I'm not that bad, but I have seen a lot of games. It's like this game is only 10 cents now, and it's terrible.
Oh yeah, but I'll still buy it.
But yeah, it's like, oh man, I got some points I can spend. It'll be 3 cents. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Like these 10 cents games, like I pick them up just because. I mean, hell, 10 minutes of me going, oh, this is bad. It's totally worth 10 cents.
I'm wasting so much space on this thing.
Man. What's next? Nuclear Throne. Okay, so I've actually played Nuclear Throne. I have it on Steam. It's a really fun couch co-op, twin stick looter shooter type game. There's a whole lot of weapons you can get in it. A lot of different playable characters. I think every level is procedurally generated. If you like games like Enter the Gungeon or stuff like that, Nuclear Throne is right up your alley. But it's definitely more fun as a couch co-op type game.
And apparently it's the same company as Super Crate Box.
Oh.
Vlambeer. That's a fun name. So yeah, I mean it doesn't really look like it's up my alley. I'm not a fan of bullet. Oh wait, no, that's the wrong one. It's top-down shooter. Still doesn't look like my thing. Speaking of not my thing, Swim Sanity. You're being chased by giant fish monsters, and you're swimming in the water shooting things to get away from said giant monsters.
I'm kind of on the fence about it. I need to see more.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe not. I'll forget about that game.
Yeah,
Next
pretty
one.
much.
Speaking of Vlambeer Arcade with Ultra Bugs. It's pretty much 3D Space Invaders meets Robotron 64 meets some boring puzzle game you could find on Google Play Store. At least that's what I gleaned.
Yeah, imagine
off of this.
imagine like Millipede or Centipede, but you could also move on the sides and the top.
Yeah, pretty much.
Eh.
Yeah. Next one is Darkwood. This one is kind of a generic horror game, I guess you could say.
It's one of those bird's eye view. It's a bird's eye view type game, and I know you have like a flashlight, and you can't see anything unless you can't see enemies or anything unless it's in your field of vision.
Yeah.
So like if you can see into the next room in the bird's eye view, you won't see the enemy pop up unless the light is on them.
Illuminate them.
It looks almost like it could be almost like a little jump scare type of game. Again, one of those that doesn't really look like it's up my alley, but I'd buy it on sale.
Yeah. So the next one's from a company that used to be a big name whenever I was like really little. Sunsoft.
Yeah, but they also released a lot of turds.
Yeah, that's why they're an indie company now, I guess.
I mean, they did a lot of good stuff, but they released a lot of turds too.
Speaking of that, Blaster Master Zero Part 2.
That's a weird name.
It sounds like Capcom named it.
That's true. They use like the what is it? The Resident Evil school of numbering.
2 Turbo Extended Edition sounds like something you'd buy in a...
It's like 4 Fast,
store.
4 Furious.
Yeah. So, I mean, Blaster Master, I got it at some point. It's an old school shooter. If you like
I
those.
really liked it.
Yeah,
I mean, I really
fine.
liked the NES version, but it's also a game that I bought more for nostalgia purposes because thinking back on it, I can honestly say, like, I probably never played the original Blaster Master for more than 10 minutes at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never beat it. But I guess the Blaster Master Zero, I played it probably a few hours.
Mm-hmm.
It was worth it. I don't know if part 2 will be worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you're, what is it? Sophia, the car robot thing you're in is
Carbot.
upgraded. It's got new features and stuff, and your character, I think his name's Jason, has new features. Looks cool. I'm probably gonna pick it up.
Oh. So the next one I want to play. I really want to play this one because I think Red Lantern looks really cool. It's about the Iditarod, which is like a big dog sledding competition. But there's no way I will be able to own this game or play this because my wife, who is an avid lover of all dogs, especially the large varieties, by the way, I have like 100-something pound German Shepherd / horse. We call Horse Dog, which is technically Horse Dog Junior because his father was even bigger and he has torn holes into doors to open them. But my wife is such a dog person that she almost stopped watching the Nindie Direct because at some point your poor dog gets attacked by a bear and then you don't see the dog in the rest of the video.
Yeah.
There's no way because you're going to lose dogs in this game, and that's what this game is pretty much going to be about. Surviving the dogs.
But does that happen every time? Because they did say there were over 100 unique events that could happen. So does
that's so cool.
So does every one of them start off with you getting attacked by a bear and then the dog dying in the fight, or could something else happen? Could you get attacked by a moose and the dog?
How many ways can you kill your dog
Kills a
at the
moose.
Iditarod?
Oh, that's awful. I mean, the art style looks awesome.
Amazing.
It's very story driven. Like there was a whole like narrative for the trailer of it. It sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, she's basically like a loser that didn't do anything with her life, and now she's trying to go out and make her way, make a goal for life.
Yeah.
Which we're kind of going to talk about stuff like that later, and kind of make her own way. So I agree with you. I mean, the voiceover sounded really good.
Yeah,
it didn't sound cheesy.
Forgive me, I don't know the name of the company that's making it, but it's also their first game.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, this company, it's their first game coming out, and I mean, I'm very impressed.
Yeah, I will probably get it and hide it.
Get it and hide it.
Because dogs, it's going to be bad. I'm telling you, man. And by the way, it is from Timberline Studio.
Okay, yeah, this is their first game they put out. And I've never heard of Timberline Studios before this. Like, I mean, obviously it's their first game that's come out, but I don't know if people that work there have worked on anything else. But I mean, it looks great. I mean, it looks like a veteran style indie game.
Speaking of which, I just pulled up, like, just so we could look up where which company made this, and I pulled up a Variety article on this, and I swear this is a line in it. Players will doggedly try to survive in the Alaskan tundra as the musher. They used doggedly. That was ridiculous.
You should never use dog as a verb, because do you know what dogging is, Travis?
I don't want to get into this conversation.
Ladies and gentlemen, go to
urbandictionary.com
and look up dogging.
Don't do it. All right.
It's gross.
So, they're just going to doggedly kill your dogs in this game. That's the problem. That's why my wife won't get it. Next game on the list is
Rad. I am stoked for this game. I really like Double Fine games, but Rad looks really cool.
Does it look rad?
It does look rad.
It's made fun of people for saying doggedly.
I mean, yeah, it sure. I mean, we have so many games these days that take place in a quote unquote post-apocalyptic world, but wherever you walk in this game, plants and life basically springs up behind you in this post-apocalyptic world. Now, I don't know if you design your own character, because there were a lot of characters that look different within the trailer, but you can get all these different mutations that work with you, so you can have new ways to attack. Like, at one point, the character's head mutated into a snake head, so then they had longer range for their melee attack. There was another character that had some weird tail that popped out some eggs that basically became minion versions of them that would attack.
Looking at just going into what you were saying, it's a roguelite isometric action game, and it looks like the power-ups are unpredictable, so it sounds like there's going to be some procedural generation going on.
You'll probably have negative mutations then, too.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like Rogue Legacy, almost, in a way, where you come back as a different... I really want that game on the Switch. Is it on the Switch?
Oh, sure, it's gotta be. Everything's on the Switch now.
Yeah, Switch is basically the new PC.
I've got indies. I've got it on Steam, and I had a character. God, I don't remember everything they had, but I had to do the game upside down, and then they had gigantism, so like they couldn't fit into some of the smaller places, and they said something about maybe it was like a bigger left foot or something, so they moved slower. It was ridiculous. Yeah, it looks like it is on the Steam.
Dang, it's out.
Oh, it is on.
Oh, guess who's going to be buying this after this show? It was payday yesterday. Nice.
But no, Rad looks awesome. And then what else? We got My Friend Pedro, another Devolver game. I love Devolver, man.
Devolver's fun, and if you watch their E3 presentation, it is the craziest stuff. It's like a trauma film. Like if Trauma,
oh my god, I forgot about Trauma films.
Trauma was like Toxic Crusader and things like that back in the day. Really just things that are so horrible. There's just blood and guts and gore everywhere. There's nudity. It's
Cannibal the Musical.
Cannibal the Musical. That's a Trauma one too, isn't it?
That was the first movie done by Matt Stone and Trey Parker.
Yeah. But they're basically like it's like a trauma film, and I remember Toxic Avenger
oh my god,
was a cartoon.
So
they made it a cartoon, and my parents I probably have told you this story. My parents ended up renting Toxic Avenger the movie for us.
Oh god.
when I was a little kid.
It's not the same as the cartoon.
Pretty sure those are my first lady parts I saw as a kid. I don't know how to say it anymore like that. But
yeah, they're E3, like it's full of blood.
We didn't finish that show.
But when they announced My Friend Pedro, like I knew I wanted it. Like it's so awesome. I mean, just crazy parkour. Imagine if Deadpool, Tony Hawk, and John Wick had a child. That would be My Friend Pedro.
Sounds like a trauma film, honestly.
I mean, there was one part of the trailer where he flicks an iron skillet into the air and then ricochets bullets off of it to hit another character.
You know, my favorite thing about the whole game is there's an anthropomorphized banana named Pedro.
Yep.
That's his friend, guys.
Yep.
It's cool. I love that.
Definitely gonna get that one full price right off the bat.
Oh yeah, I'll be into that one too. And the last game, saving I guess the biggest surprise for last, Cuphead.
I was actually talking about this at work recently. The guy I work with was like, "Hey, we really need Cuphead on Switch."
Oh yeah, it's too perfect, and Microsoft had a hand in making it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Microsoft is all up in the Switch right now. It's weird. We have Xbox Game Pass coming to the Switch.
Well, no, Xbox Live is coming to Switch.
Oh, Xbox. I'm sorry, wrong thing. It would be awesome if Game Pass was coming to it.
It's going to. I mean,
yeah. Do you
it's
think
gonna happen.
Do you think they're just like finally giving up on the Xbox brand?
I don't think they're giving up on the Xbox brand, but I think that they see buddying up with Nintendo as a big deal right now because PlayStation's not playing nice, or Sony's not playing nice with anybody.
Nobody.
So Xbox playing nice with Nintendo looks really good. So for me, I have a PS4 and a Switch. That's where I do most of my main gaming. I really like Sony's first-party studios or first-party games that you can't really get on any other system.
Yeah.
But with Xbox playing nice with Nintendo, there may be a lot of people that next generation switch from having just a Sony and Nintendo products to Microsoft and Nintendo products. It really could sway some people.
Yeah,
I mean, not me. I really like Sony.
Yeah.
But
honestly, personally, I think that Microsoft should take the Xbox brand, move it to PC gaming in a store similar scene, which they kind of did with the Windows Store, but they really need to work on the Windows Store. Well,
soon Game Pass,
garbage.
Soon everything that's on Game Pass will work on PC,
and that'll be great. I think that would be a good way to go about it. That I don't think Sony will be able to compete with, and honestly, I'm a little concerned about Sony. I probably shouldn't be, but they're not going to be at E3 this year. They're kind of quiet right now. It's really odd. Nintendo's selling way over them at the moment.
So, I
think they're going to be announcing.
Side note, I don't think E3 is going to be around 5 years from now. Because you have all these people now that are doing their own conferences.
Yeah.
To me, like, E3 is just not fun anymore.
Yeah. It wouldn't kill me if E3 went away.
Because
I've been to E3. It ain't that great.
Now, like, Nintendo does their whole Treehouse event, which is awesome. Because it's just live, like, for a few days where you can see all this cool stuff. Sony has PSX now that they do. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to have E3 anymore now that you can watch everything on the internet. I mean, it's cool to go to E3 and be like hands-on with stuff, but you can do that at like PAX, and they have PAX South, East, West. It's just I don't see E3 being around much longer.
Yeah. So we got way off topic. Cuphead looks good.
No, Cuphead looks good. We forgot. What's the Cadence of Hyrule?
That game, yeah. Hold on, real quick before we go to that. Cuphead is essentially Mickey Mouse cross Dark Souls, and it looks amazing.
Oh, the art style's awesome. The music's amazing.
But it's Mickey Mouse in the Dark Souls world, basically.
You want to throw your controller?
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, the other game,
Cadence of Hyrule. So it's the Crypt of the Necrodancer. That was the first game that company made.
Did you play that?
No.
Okay, I have no clue how this game plays.
I did not know that it was a rhythm music-based game. I mean, I guess I should have known.
Yeah.
The
You do music.
Dancer. And I love music, but it's a rhythm-based, I guess, like RPG fighting type game. You move spaces to the rhythm of the music, and you attack in the rhythm of the music to be more powerful.
Ah, that's how that works.
So then, it turns out, I've been reading more and more into Cadence of Hyrule. It is a sequel to Crypt of the Necrodancer, and it is actual Zelda canon. And it's really weird that like this company, this is their second game ever. And they're working with Nintendo, with one of the biggest Nintendo properties ever.
Yeah, it was really surprising to a lot of people.
Well, yeah, because I mean, we've seen what happens when Nintendo hands out some of their properties. You get Hotel Mario, and you get...
Hey, Hotel Mario has a special place in my heart.
You shut your whore mouth.
It's only because, like, it was one of those games I probably got for free at a flea market as a kid.
Oh, it was awful. And then let's not forget the Philips CDI.
No, that stuff can burn in a fire.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But
the memes that came from it are worth it, I guess.
But yeah, this Cadence of Hyrule, it looks good. I'm definitely gonna pick that one when it comes out. I totally forgot about that just now.
Man, I don't know. I'm gonna wait until you tell me how good it is or not. You can spend the money on it. Speaking of money, poor Steam, man. They are they got a lot of competition nowadays. You know, there's so many stores that are coming up against good old Steam, and yeah, I know. I think they'll be around for a long time, of course.
Well, yeah,
but
yeah.
They are getting some really intense competition. I mean, we got the Epic Store, Green Man Gaming. I don't go to Steam anymore for all my games.
No, I shop around first.
Yeah.
But like at first when the Epic Store came out, I was like, ugh, I don't know about this. I know everybody uses the Unreal Engine, but I don't know. They're just trying to push Fortnite, and when I downloaded the Epic Store, it instantly installed Fortnite on my computer, and I was not a big fan of that, so I deleted Fortnite.
Oh, you can delete it afterwards?
Yeah, you can delete it.
That's nice.
But then they give you a free game every 2 weeks, and like I got Subnautica. Granted, I already had Subnautica.
You are Subnautica.
I love Subnautica,
nerd,
man.
yeah.
That game was so good. And the sound design is... getting sidetracked.
But you need to come play it over here with my loud surround sound system.
But then also on the Epic Store, like it looks real good for developers because instead of the 70-30 split for Steam, it's 88-12 for Epic. I thought it was 80-20 at first. It's 88-12 for the Epic Store. So that is a huge increase.
That is a pretty good increase.
Here a while back at first, I got a little pissy about how, granted, I've never played any of the Metro games, but it was a little shady that, was it Metro Exodus was up for pre-sale on Steam, but then right at the last minute, they moved it to an Epic Store exclusive, but then also dropped the price $10, because with the 88-12 split, they'll still make a profit. But it just seems that with all these places coming out, like it's easier to get a deal on your games. Like I will go to Humble Bundle, I'll go to Fanatical, Good Old Games, the EA Origin Store, Uplay. I'll go to all this stuff to see where I can find the cheapest version of the game. And it works out a lot of the time.
And you know, there's even services nowadays like Twitch. Discord of all places now has a special thing to where you get if you do their Nitro, which is like a $5 monthly thing, and you can do special things like with your your stuff in Discord basically. But now they've added games as a service in it.
Okay.
So you get all these games that come along with your $5 a month. I mean, I've played a little bit of Wasteland 2 on it and a bunch of other stuff.
Well, with Twitch, if you have Amazon Prime, you can link your Amazon and Twitch accounts, and you get Twitch Prime for free, and you get one free subscription per month with it. So
How come I didn't know this?
So you get like free games every month. Like my Twitch library is huge, and I haven't dropped a dime on Twitch.
Fancy. I have yet to do that because I have Amazon Prime. I should do that. But you even have storefronts in Nintendo and PlayStation, Xbox. You're now having things like Tencent has its store. Tencent is Epic, right?
Tencent owns a good portion of Epic, but Tencent has their hands in everything. They have their hands in movies now.
So what I think is going to be interesting, and we were talking about this earlier, is the rules of each store potentially affecting what they carry and who's going to move from one service to another.
Yes.
You're talking about there's an issue with censorship on Steam.
The big thing about
or lack
Steam,
thereof, sorry.
Yes, it's the lack thereof. So the thing about Steam is last year they said they would release any game as long as it wasn't illegal or straight up trolling. Now, the fact that their second rule is straight up trolling, that's not set in stone what that actually means. So you could just play fast and loose with whatever happens. And when they first announced that, the first thing I thought was, who is going to try to develop a game that pisses people off so that it can't go on Steam? Like, they're not trying to make a game for people to play. They're literally going to make a game just to try and see if it can get banned from Steam.
You know, there's a couple I can think of off the top of my head, though. Go ahead.
Well, first off, you had that, what is it, the school shooter game?
That's the one that I was going to talk about. Like, me personally, no thank you.
No, I mean, that was taken off.
And if it wasn't, I probably wouldn't use Steam.
So then, the next thing I saw, this is actually just recently, like last month, there was a game that was going to release on Steam called Rape Day. You heard me correct. Rape Day. This is a visual novel where it's you play as a psychopathic killer in a post-apocalyptic world where you could beat, rape, and murder women. So this is a game that is literally out there just so you could be a psychopath towards women. So obviously, a petition goes up, the game gets taken down off of Steam. But a way to look at it is, let's say you're a developer and you release your game on Steam, and then one day you get on because you want to see what the reviews look like and what people are saying about your game, and you see in the games you may like section Rape Day. How is that going to make you feel as a developer when your game is thrown into the same category as Rape Day? I mean, me personally, if I was a developer, I'm out.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want to be associated with that. And that used to be a discussion that they had a lot more back, like during the beginnings of Mortal Kombat and stuff. Mm-hmm. Whenever like Walmart wouldn't carry any T or M games, to an extent. And I think some of these like extreme games are, like you were saying earlier, they're going to push the government to want to come in and regulate, because they're not regulating enough. And I know this is not necessarily going to be popular, but I'm sorry, there are lines that should be drawn as far as what you should provide as a service. Now, at the same time, it's kind of a catch-22, because I don't think that the game shouldn't be allowed to not exist.
Exactly.
But I don't think they should be necessarily sold by a service like Steam or Fanatical or whatever. Like, if they want to sell it on their own, there is peer-to-peer kind of sales.
Yeah, so it
they
turns
can do
out
that.
The people who make Rape Day, I think now are only putting it out on their website.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, look, if you feel like you need to play the game Rape Day,
I don't want to associate with you.
I don't want to associate with you, exactly. But, I mean, you have the right to play the game. It's out there. You can go to the website and buy it. But the ESRB was actually created to keep government out of games. And we keep doing things, or I guess not we, but the gaming industry keeps doing things that keep getting the government's attention, like loot boxes. I don't know if you heard the whole thing about in Belgium, they were trying to get loot boxes completely out of games. Well, then it got ruled that loot boxes were gambling, and were trying to force EA to take loot boxes out of their games. But FIFA is a huge seller all over Europe, and in Belgium they make shit tons of money by the microtransactions in FIFA. So by doing all of this, Steam is going to pull the government in, and the government is going to impose censorship. So they need to have a more in-depth system, so they know what can and cannot go on there. Because me personally, like I said, as a developer, I would much rather look at the Epic Store, or sell it just by myself on a website if there's a chance I could be grouped in with games like the school shooter games, or these god awful shovelware games that people keep pumping out.
Oh yeah, or like the cheesy like porno games that are like Japanese waifu games essentially. Yep. And one game that I wanted to talk a little bit about, I haven't played it, I've seen it, which I guess it's not out yet, or no, it released last year I guess. There's a game called Agony, and it's a first-person survival horror game. And this is one that really I'm a bit concerned about personally. Have you ever seen this one?
It looks awful.
So the art style is basically you're going in hell.
Yeah.
There's a lot of extreme sexual references to the way they design the demons and things like that. There's just insane amount of gores, and it's almost like and this is going to go a little artsy fartsy here, but there's an artist called Hieronymus Bosch, artist that did artwork in the 1500s.
Okay. And
he did these depictions of hell that were so basically freaky that it inspired. It's inspired lots of games and things like that nowadays with all these little crazy monsters. So whenever you think of like what demons look like in hell, you're usually thinking of something that'd be like in a Hieronymus Bosch painting.
Okay.
And it was this weird sect of Protestantism, if I remember that correctly, that was using it essentially to scare people into church, which is a normal thing that you see throughout art history, is different time periods where they're essentially trying to scare people into churches, or doing things that are so realistic it makes it feel like it's more real to people. But anyway, I'm going on an aside. But the thing is, this game is, I personally think, way too much. If you got a little kid that somehow ended up with this game, because there is very little keeping you from getting this game on something like Steam, they would be scarred for life. I would personally think that they would have nightmares beyond, because it's too much. And I think they won't sell it physical anywhere, I believe. But I don't think personally that games that get this far out there should be on Steam. But then at the same time, like, I play Doom. But Doom is almost like a cheesy...
Well, my whole thing about
horror
Agony,
game.
all the videos that I've seen were not because of the art style, or because it was so bad. Like, the way it controlled and how hard some of the parts were. Because, like, some of it's supposed to be stealth.
Yeah.
And, like, some games you just aren't supposed to be stealth. But this game, like, it was just awful. And it was a Kickstarter game. It made all this money, and then they just put out a turd of a game. Pardon the pun, a hell of a turd. But, I mean, yeah, it's games like this, it just really feels like you're trying to push the wrong buttons.
And that's really what they were trying to do, though. I mean, that's what their purpose is. But, then I have the problem to where I look and say, well, it's art.
Yeah.
And how can I stop this from being created? It's the artist's intent, and that's where it gets really tricky with me, I think, in this whole discussion as far as what should be allowed, what shouldn't be allowed. Technically, legally, it's allowed, but at the same time, I don't want to support companies with my money that I know that they are helping push these kinds of games, because I understand the trickle-down effect of who it's going to end up affecting. I mean, I teach so many little 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds and 10-year-olds that basically say, like, oh, I played Grand Theft Auto all summer. And I know we've talked about Grand Theft Auto in the past. So that's, I guess, where I have my concerns at.
Yeah,
But
and it's just Steam just like I said, they need to, or all these companies need to have a set guidelines of what goes in and what goes out, so we know, who we want to support.
so yeah, let us know what you think. But we weren't supposed to get that serious, I don't think, on that segment. We usually save
No.
the serious stuff for the end. We'll get to that too. But before we get there, Google Stadia thoughts?
Eh.
Okay, that's about it. I mean, Google Stadia is just some sort of a streaming service that looks like it's halfway thought out, and I don't think the debut was for us as gamers.
I mean, it's got good ideas.
Xbox One already said them. I said those ideas though.
Well, I mean, I've got kind of my feelings on it that I won't go into because it would take up way too much time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not excited about it. I think it was really for investors.
That's all that was.
It wasn't for us. It was to trick people into spending money on Google because, like they kind of did with VR, they're going to say just enough and say it's going to revolutionize everything. They're going to combine the word Netflix and video games, which everybody's been waiting for, essentially. And they're going to make millions, if not billions, off of investments, and it's going to go nowhere.
You throw in those trigger words, those key words right there. People are gonna latch on to it, or at least investors. So yeah, we're just gonna have to wait for a game conference where they talk about it before I can have a full-on opinion.
Yeah.
Of where that's going.
And my trigger word is Google, so Rowdy knows this by now. I use an Android phone, but we're not going to get into that today. Anyway, so I guess the last thing that we're going to talk about is our kind of serious topic at the end is gaming addiction. And I wanted to talk a little bit about this the other day because I was, in the office. I work in deal with disciplinary issues at a school, and sometimes at the end of the day, you just need to hang out and talk with humans that are not 12. And we were kind of talking about some things, and it came up that this one woman's friend's husband is thinking about getting a divorce because he will literally come home. He will put on his headset to do voice chat for games like Call of Duty and Fortnite just all night. So, I know I come in, I have like a weekly game night that I try to do. I haven't done it in a while because I've had, family over. But there is a point to where you've got to figure out what you're doing and how to stop it. And, I guess a disclaimer, we're not really experts on any of this.
Yeah.
We've had to deal with these things personally and professionally, though.
I mean, I work in the medical field. Travis works
for
I'm school disciplinary.
Working with kids, and man, I had a conversation like 3 weeks ago. I was like, why are these group of 4 kids always getting in trouble? Because we were looking at the data, and it's these 4 kids that were constantly getting in trouble in class, and they were just being grumpy. And we found out that they have been playing Fortnite every night until 4 a.m., and then they'd get up and come to school. And then I have to deal with them. So, whenever it starts affecting your life outside of just like the gaming environment, you're going too far. And, Rowdy, how many, I guess get an idea of where we're at. How many hours do you think you game a week?
It depends on the week. Because there's one week I work a whole lot, and then the next week I have most of my days off. So I always gauge everything off of a 2-week period. I know that sounds ridiculous, but in a 2-week period, I could probably play 10-15 hours easy.
I could do that easy. I mean, honestly, like on a weekend, if I just need to chill, I can hit 6 hours in a day. But that's rare for me now.
Well, in these past 2 weeks, I've played, or I guess this past month, I've played a lot of games that have come out. So I guess it also has to do with how many games that I personally like that are coming out. But at the same time, like, I will play them. I'll wake up in the morning, I'll have my coffee, I'll do all of my adult stuff,
Gotta have that first
and all that
addiction of
good
your day.
junk.
The coffee.
And then once everything is situated, then I'll play games. Then when my wife comes home, if it's a game that she likes watching, I may play it a little bit longer before, we decide to, I don't know, watch Netflix or go grocery shopping or cook or anything like that. But you have to make sure that all of your adulting is done.
Yes. Don't let your, house be, where you walk into a house and there's like holes in the floors and the ceilings. And I've had, I know I've went over to somebody's place. I won't say who, but went over there and this person was obviously all they did was sit around and play video games all day, and it was just gross, rotten food in places. Ooh. And bugs. And, a lot of that I think is tied to, you get a little bit of like a dopamine kick whenever you make an accomplishment in a game.
Well, yeah, it's basically with any type of addiction.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. You're addicted to something. You can have games where you're addicted to adrenaline, and that tends to be more of your, I guess, teenagers, young adults, and people who like to fight, honestly. That
Russell Crowe, I like to fight.
I like to fight! Your Fortnite, COD, those high adrenaline, fast, action-based games. But then you also have some that are closer to more like a casino style. So a lot of your mobile games nowadays are really going to be like playing at a casino and you spend real money. Yeah. It doesn't seem real because it's just attached to your credit card or whatever. And then you have play to win, which is easy to get addicted to because, once again, accomplishments in games still affect you as if you're having an accomplishment in real life. And that's damaging. I mean, you see it in social media addiction right now. Facebook, the creators of Facebook, and I don't know if I've talked about this on the show before. One of the creators of Facebook is going around and telling people, we designed this, and now we're seeing the ramifications of what we created. Because anything where you get a like or a share, it essentially creates a little bit of happy in your brain that releases that chemical. And you are, if you know anything about conditioning, there's something called Pavlov's dog. Okay?
Ding!
Ding! And then you drool. So if anybody just started drooling right now, I'm sorry, dogs. But what they did, Pavlov's dog, was essentially an experiment to where they dinged a bell and they provided food. So eventually, they kept doing this over and over. So every time the dog heard ding, ooh, I'm about to get fed. Well, when they essentially were testing to see if the bell, they were conditioned to the sound, would make the dog think that it was going to get fed. And it did. It made it drool. They checked the saliva, basically. So that's what social media and gaming, as it's getting more attached to social media, is doing to us and doing to children mostly, because it's making them almost hysterical. Anytime you are extremely happy or extremely sad and you post about it on Facebook, you get a ton of likes, which releases that chemical in your brain. So that is conditioning you to thinking that, one, being extreme in emotion is good. Even though it's not necessarily being said, your brain is conditioning it, like you're drooling on yourself, essentially, like the dog. Or if you're making accomplishments in the video games, your brain is still being conditioned to think, oh, this is great. I've done a great thing. I'm awesome. Okay, and you're getting a fake sense of self-worth. And, there's a lot of places that you can get that fake sense of self-worth. But that is a danger for us as video gamers, because we do look at the achievements system on Xbox. I mean, that's a dramatically, or even PlayStation, I see people... Trophies. Yeah. All this stuff is a way to essentially get you addicted to the game and to do more in the game.
The way that I always see it is, being in the medical field, I see more of physical type addictions more than mental. Well, I mean, I guess it does mentally affect you as well, but I see lots of things like alcohol addiction, drug addiction, and then I also see sometimes people who will literally go to the hospital or they'll dial 911 because they need attention. and so the family's not giving them attention, so they want attention from somewhere else, and it's gotten this bad to where they'll call 911 or they'll want to go to a hospital. This is a lot of the exact same things that happen in video games, like Travis was talking about. Your dopamine and serotonin levels, they increase with the attention, whether it be negative or positive. That's why you have a lot of people who just love to go on and yell at each other while shooting each other.
Yeah.
But it all boils down to an addiction and how susceptible you are to these addictions. Granted, gaming addiction is just another form of it. They have to put a new name on it to draw attention to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what they're going to do to try and stop it. Just make sure you adult first.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And another thing, especially for people that are younger that are listening, accomplishments. Just think of this: accomplishments in games, while fun, are not real life. You actually have to go out and do something with yourself and do something with your life. The thing is, you're not going to go walking down a street one day. There's going to be some random old dude that's going to give you a sword and tell you to go on a mission to go save the princess. And I know that sounds extremely generic and boring, like, you can't just play video games all your life, but it's unfortunately true, because most likely that old dude's going to kill you and drag you into the forest. But not just that. But the thing is, you actually have to go out and make your objectives, make your goals, make your own quest. What do you want to be in the future? What do you want to do with your life? If you are waiting for somebody else to tell you that and to drag you along the way because you haven't seen the tutorial on how to be successful or how to get up and study and get to work on time and do what you need to, it ain't going to happen. Nobody's going to do that for you.
The best way to look at it, if you're not successful, you can't buy video games.
That's true too. That's another part you need to think about this. You got to go out, make money to earn video games. Think of it that way. How many hours did I work this week? I can buy this many video. Don't think about it that way, actually. That's a terrible thing. I actually make a monthly allotment of gaming that I'll spend on. Because, to me, that's a good... Gaming is, of course, it does release the happy. And I use that in a small way to get me through the week sometimes. However, I won't play high adrenaline games because I get plenty of that at work. Anyway, so I guess that's going to be really the end of it, man. It's not much more to say. Go out, get to work, and I'm sure a lot of people that are listening already work hard enough as it is.
Oh. Be sure to make sure you follow us on Twitter to keep you up with the updates.
Yeah.
If you're a fan, you think other people would like it, please share it with them. We're going to try to do more regular updates, and coming up this summer, hopefully we can get the podcast up on iTunes and Spotify, and hopefully work on more social media websites, your Instagrams, your things like that. But right now, mostly everything's going to be on Twitter. Travis, do you have anything else?
No, man. Y'all have a good night, and, day. I guess it doesn't really matter what time of day, but
yeah.
Everybody have a good one, and I guess it's game over for tonight's show.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.